welcome back to my BookTube channel. So firstly, can we just say how bright are these nails? Yeah, my daughter decided she wanted to paint her nails today, so she wanted every single colour on her nails, and she decided she wanted me to have mine done, so she picked these colours, and they are very bright and clash with the red jumper. But it's a miserable grey, dull, blur day, so it's a bit of brightness to cheer you up. But anyway, I'm not here to talk about my nails. No. I am here to talk about books, and today's video is my most anticipated reads of 2021. So, as you hopefully have seen, my previous video was a bookish Q&A. The last question in that video was my most anticipated releases of 2021, and it was quite a good ending of a question because I already had this video planned, so it actually ties in with the last question very well. I've decided to do my anticipated reads rather than releases, only because I have 422 books to read. I did have 417. A few more came for different reasons. I got 422 books all here that I need to read, so I need to get through them before I can buy any more new books, new releases. So I have 21 books. 3 are new releases that I have pre-ordered, which I'll do first, and then the other 19 are books that I own that I really want to read for this year. So the first 3 books that I have pre-ordered that will be coming hopefully in the next few months. The first one is A Vow So Bold and Deadly. That's by Bridget Camera. It's the 3rd book of a series, the Cursebreaker series. It is the last and final book. No! I really love the series. I actually read the first 2 books by fluke at our local library, and it was the first time I read the author. I love the books. They are a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. Now, I love retelling books, but some of them can be absolutely awful, and I'm like, nah, you should have just left it as a normal fairy tale. But this one is just amazing. So the first book was more the retelling of Beauty and the Beast, but obviously a more up-to-date modern version. But obviously as the books progressed, it's not so much about that curse anymore, it's about other things. But book 2 left it on the biggest cliffhanger you can imagine, so I am so eager for book 3 to come. Now, I actually don't own the first 2 books, and I am tempted to buy the first 2 books. I know I'm on a book buying ban, but A, I would reread them anyway, and B, I have the whole series together. And for me, because it's been a while since I read the first 2 books, I want to read them before I read the 3rd book, because it makes sense, and then I actually remember what's going on. So this book is coming out 26th of this month. I've already pre-ordered it, so I can't wait for it to come. The 2nd book is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. That's out February the 14th. It's obviously the next addition to Court of Thorns and Roses series. However, it's not following the same characters so much. This time it follows Cassian and Feyre's sister, who has turned Fae by not her choice. She was forced to turn into Fae. Turns out that Cassian is her soulmate match, but obviously she's got a lot of problems at the moment. It's not entertaining that, so it's about those 2 characters. I'm really excited for it. I'm a little bit worried as well, because I've been so used to Feyre and all the characters and Feyre and Ryson's romance that I'm sort of a bit like, I hope that even though this is different characters, I hope all the old characters are still involved. And as well as that, obviously in all of the Court of Thorns and Roses series, the 4 books that are left so far, they all have a bit of like a drama or a big like court fight, or it's a big war. So I'm hoping there's going to be something like that in this book, and it's not going to focus on the do I don't I romance, but we'll see. I love Sarah J Maas. I really love her writing. Every book I've read of hers, and I've read quite a few now, I've always been captivated and can't put the book down. So regardless of what's going on with this new book, I know I'm going to love it. And the last book of the releases is also pre-ordered. This comes out in April. It's Beth O'Leary's third book, which is Road Trip. Now, her books aren't series, but they obviously are published in like an order. So this book I'm really excited for, and I have big hopes for it. So I love the flat chair. I thought that was fantastic. Then I read The Switch, and I thought that was even better than the flat chair. And now I'm kind of thinking Road Trip might be even better than The Switch. I find as each book progresses with Beth's writing, they are getting even better. So I'm really excited for this one. I think this one I might like it even more than the other books. We will see. It's Road Trip. It basically follows, so all these people are going to this wedding. They're all driving there. This one character's car breaks down, so she then has to join another car that's like carrying other passengers there, and it turns out that the person who's in the car is her ex-boyfriend. So it's a dual sort of book. So I think the first part of the book is how they met and their relationship and probably how it ended, and then it goes to present, which is them in the car. I'm not sure how it goes. I find with Beth's writing they're always romance stories, so I'm wondering whether there's a rekindling of relationship there or not. We will soon see. But yeah, I'm really excited for that one. I have big hopes for it, so I'm hoping it doesn't disappoint. So my other books, my 19 books that I've got here, they're not in any particular order, just to say they are not in order. They're not in any priority or anything like that at all. It's just like the ones that I want to read. I am going to just start with the hardback ones because they're easier. So the first one, so I've only got one non-fiction in this pile. I'm not a big non-fiction fan, so I very rarely will read them unless I want to like break things up. But this one I'm very excited for. So I got Claudia Winkleman's Quite. My parents gave me this for Christmas. I wasn't expecting any books because they told me they weren't going to get me any books, but they got me this. I can't wait to read this. It sounds amazing. I love her as it is. I used to sport a very similar haircut as hers. I used to have a really heavy fringe. It used to be really black. I do tend to wear a lot of black eyeliner, especially winged liquid eyeliner, but because we're in a lockdown, in a pandemic, and we don't go out, I very rarely put much heavy makeup on. I very rarely wear makeup. I wear it if I'm doing stuff like this. So I don't really wear my heavy liquid eyeliner, but I do look very similar to her sometimes if I'm sporting the same haircut. But I love her. I think she's a fantastic woman, and this book sounds really good. Like the inside of it, it just sounds quite funny. I'm not going to read it out, but you can pause it and read it. It just sounds amazing. I can't wait to read it. Another one is Girl, Serpent, Fawn by Melissa Bashhurst. This is a fantasy. I've seen a lot of people read this and say they love it. It sounds really interesting, and I love fantasy, so I have high hopes for this. And I just love the cover. I'm a sucker for a beautiful cover, I'm not gonna lie. Like there is like limited editions of it, and even those covers are better than this, but I just like the colour, and it really matches my room decor because my room is pink and grey theme, and it's like these pastel colours, so this goes well with my room. It's not really the reason why I got the book and want to read it, but it matches my room. But yeah, I've got high hopes for this. Sometimes the princess is the monster. Like, it's appealing already, so I can't wait for this. The next two is a series. I'm going to show them together. So I have got the very nice, beautiful covers of Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom by Leah Bardugo, something like that. I love Lee's covers. They are absolutely beautiful, and they are probably my most beautiful covers I've got. Look, red sprayed edges for Six of Crows and black for Crooked Kingdom. I love a sprayed edge. But yeah, I've got big hopes for these. Everyone says these are really good. A lot of people say these are better than Shadow of Bone series, which I was quite shocked about. But a lot of people say, like, cause I think, I'm not 100% sure whether there's an order. Some people say you have to read the Shadow of Bone series first and then these. Other people say just read them and sorry. Yeah, but I love these covers. I think I'm going to start this series before I do Shadow of Bones. And I've heard big things about it. Everyone says how amazing they are. So, like my Sloth Mug. I was gifted this as a gift box exchange. I thought it was brilliant. So, they're the hardbacks. I have a lot of fantasy in this selection, so be prepared to see a lot of fantasy books than anything else. Next, I've got Marissa Mayer, Cinder. This is another retelling of Cinderella. It's the Lunar Chronicles. It's a series. I actually got this as a I just paid postage for this, and I've just recently got it as well. I've been earning and ahhing about this. I hear a lot of people say it's brilliant. I hear a lot of people say it's just average. And like I said, I am a big fan of retelling, but sometimes some retellings I think they should have just stuck to the normal fairy tale. So this is sort of a cyborg Cinderella. It's in New Beijing, and it's sort of a romance, but a romance type book, but she is a cyborg, so it's got a bit of a sci-fi, fantasy and romance element in it. It sounds good. A lot of people say it's good, so we'll see. I'm hoping this will be like a 4 or 5 star read for me, because a lot of people say it's really an easy read, but obviously everyone's different. Next, and this has got another beautiful sprayed edges, is Aurora Rising, which is by both Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. Jay Kristoff has done the Nevernight series. Yes, I'm correct, which I have got, but I've not read. Beautiful purple sprayed edges. I love purple. Purple is like a big meaning to me, but we won't go into that because it's another topic. This is a sci-fi fantasy. This sounds epic. Everyone says this is a fantastic book. Everyone says once you read this book you want the second book. So knowing me, I'm going to read it and be like, I want the next one. But it's in the year 2380, and it's like cadets of the Aurora Academy are being assigned their first missions. So it's obviously space, different worlds and stuff like that. It's obviously futuristic, and I'm really excited to read it. It sounds really good. It's out of my comfort zone, but I like it when they're not my typical books, and everyone says it's an epic journey of a book, and it's a very good series, so I'm hoping it's good. I can see big things, and I just think it's the beautifulest book ever. Like, there's illustrations in it. If I can get it for you. For example, there's illustrations there. It's obviously purple spines. It's beautiful. So why would you not like the book? Next is We Hunt the Flame. Okay, I just love this cover. It's purple. I'm a sucker for purple, to be honest, and it's got very gold foiled bits on it, and it's all raised as well. So this is by Hafsa Faisal. I probably have said this all wrong. I really apologise. This is a fantasy again. It's sort of a mixture of a YA romance as well. It's very different to my fantasy reads. I've never read anything like this before, but I'm excited for it. And also I am very into trying to diverse my reading, so this is a mixture of all of that in one book. So I have big hopes for this. I haven't seen this read a lot. Well, I have, but not by many people. It's mainly a lot of the fantasy people who like bookstagrammers who just really read fantasy. But this is a mixed reviews in there. I've seen some bad ones and I've seen some epic ones, so I'm hoping I like this. I've got a feeling, because it's not my usual read and it's not something I understand, that it might take me a while to get grips on. But I am up for new reads, I'm up for diverse reads and opening my mind in different things, and I do love a bit of a YA fantasy romance. I do think they're quite good and you're like always ooh. So yeah, hopefully it's be good. We'll see. I am so excited for this one. Serpent and Dub by Shelby Mahern. So this is a New York Times bestselling author. I haven't got Blood and Honey, but again, if I love this so much, it's going to be one of the ones that I'm just going to want to read. But you know, book bans and everything. But a beautiful cover, and even though I was going to get the hardcover and then I was going to get like the limited edition one, which was quite expensive, I went for the paperback. Someone actually really kindly gifted this to me, and I am so grateful for them, because this book has been on my radar for ages. Everyone says it's really good, but it's one of those books that I'm one of those people, I don't want to read very hyped books at the same time as them, because I always find a lot of people are reading the same book and sometimes I feel like it loses its thrill a bit. So I kind of like them like reading like big hyped books when I want to, not because it's a big trend and everyone's reading it at the moment. I kind of like it when I want to read them. And it's also sort of, I find that if it's spread it out, it will start getting picked up by other bookstagrammers who maybe haven't yet to read it. But yeah, this sounds really good. I've seen great reviews about it, and it is again sort of, well, I'll just read it. It says, bound as one to love, honour or burn, a witch and a witch hunter thrust into holy matrimony. There was only one way such a story could end, a stake and a match. It sounds epic. It's obviously got some romance in it. Probably not a brilliant romance in it, but I love what it says at the end. But it really does sound really good, and I have a big thing for witches, so yes. Next, these two are by the same authors, but they're not a same series. But I've got the first book of the Bone Season series by Samantha Shannon. I have seen lists around Bookstagram a lot. A lot of people love her as an author, and actually this book is the first book that it's the Priory of the Orange Tree by, again, Samantha Shannon. Now this book was on my radar before this book, but we'll go into that one in a minute. But this is being raved about. A lot of people say it's really good. A lot of people say she's a fantastic author in all of her books she's read. I was kindly gifted this too, so again, very grateful for someone getting me a book that I wanted but I just won't buy because I have too many books. So I've got big predictions for this. I really do see this as a 5-star read, and I don't know, sometimes like I love pretty covers, but I do quite like the simple covers, because sometimes they're just more eye-catching because they look really simple and you're like, ooh, and because they're so simple it makes you want to read the synopsis, and then the synopsis sells it for you. As in the ones that have really pretty covers, they sort of do it for me because they got a really pretty cover, and sometimes I don't actually know what the book's about. So then, like I mentioned, is the Priory of the Orange Tree, which is by the same author. This was recommended to me by Books on the Hill independent bookstore shop owner. Alistair's a big fantasy fan. The first time I went into that shop, this was this big bad boy. It is chunky, but he recommended about it. He said this is a book about dragons, and like it's not your normal fantasy, because a lot of fantasy cover like the basics like fairies, witches. This has got like dragons and a lot of it. It says, a world divided, a queendom without an heir, an ancient enemy awakens. So it's a mixture of politics and high ventures, epic fantasies and with like a lot of intimate romance as well. So I think it's got pretty much every element of a fantasy book in this. Again, this is not a book I've seen around a lot. I do notice a lot of fantasy bookstagrammers have read this, and again, those ones have said it's a really good book, and a lot of them say this to read first and then Bone Season, because this isn't, I don't think this is a series. I think this is just standalone. But I'm excited for this. I've put this on my anticipated reads because I do want to read it. I'm just so scared because it's such a thick book. But I can't be scared of a thick book because, to be fair, I'm a quick reader when I want to be, and you know, it might be a big read, but if I love it so much I can read it in a few days. So we shall see. I need another drink. So next couple of books that I've got left is a mixture of romance and crime thrillers. So I haven't got many, only because I'm very hit and miss with romance, and it depends whether I'm in the mood for it. But these are the ones that I actually have heard great things about. It's very popular, and I too think these would be quite good for me to read, because I do like loads of romance books are quite like, they're not full on romance. I think there's a lot to it. My lights keep coming off. Rude. Let me turn them back on. Get a little gadget. So yeah, and I've only got a little selection of crime thrillers because I love crime thrillers and I tend to read a lot of crime thrillers, and I didn't want to put loads in my anticipated reads purely because I tend to pick them that genre up a lot. So I know in between all of the reads that I want to read definitely for this year, I will also add on a lot of crime thrillers involved in it. It's not going to be, yeah, I do like mix up my reads. Like I tend to, when I do my TBRs, I tend to put, depending on my mood, like a fantasy, a crime thriller, a contemporary one and a romance one. I try to put different genres in that month so they're not all the same. It doesn't always work out that way, but I do try to. But I'll do the romance one. So the first one is by Christina Lauren, which is Roomies. I was kind of gifted this for my birthday. Everyone raves about this author. They just said she is it's an easy romance book, and I think her books are very enemies to lovers, which I really like that trait. I kind of live for that. Like I do like it when two enemies meet and then they're like, whoop, they end up falling in love. So I'm not going to be totally honest, I don't know what this is about. This is a book that I just shoved in my wish list because everyone raves about the author, so I put everything that the author wrote in my wish list, and I got gifted this. But I just love the cover. And then I've obviously got another book of hers too, which has been a big raved about book, and it's by the same author, Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating, which I'm guessing is an enemies to lovers one. But again, the cover is like of city skyscrapers, but like black and white. I love the covers. I have seen this mentioned a lot on Bookstagram. It's a very, very, very read book. It's just friends, just friends, just friends. If they say it enough, maybe it to be true. So I'm guessing it's they like each other, they're trying not to ruin their friendship, but maybe they get together. I'm not 100% sure. Again, this has been added on my wish list. I never actually read what it was about, but the cover just looks amazing, and I've heard great things about it. So for me, I like ones that are quite easy reads that I will probably read in a day. So looking forward to that. Then I've got Kevin Kwan, Crazy Rich Asians. I have not watched the film. I want to read the book before I watch the films because I am very much a person who prefers to read the books before films or TV adaptations, because sometimes TV adaptations and films aren't as good. Some are better, but most of the ones I've seen I'm like, no, the book's better. I actually kindly had this as a I had a book advent calendar for Christmas, and this was one of the books that was in it. The Only Thing Crazier Than Love is Family. So it's about Rachel Chu, who agrees to spend summer in Singapore with her boyfriend Nicholas Young. She expected like a really nice, loving family home for him, but it turns out that Nick failed to give his girlfriend Rachel a few clues. So his home is actually a palace, and he is the most eligible country's bachelor. So obviously he's very, very rich, and she didn't know about it. So obviously it's going to talk about that, and I know it's a series, but I hear good things about it. This is a book that sort of is between 3 to 5 stars. Some people love it, some people don't. I like easy reads, so again I kind of feel this would just be a very easy read to read, and you know, I can just have a nice fluffy read and read it in a day, because sometimes if I've got really big books or long books to read, it takes me longer, and like it could be potentially I could read maybe 2 books in a month, and I just don't like that. I like to read as many books as I can. Next is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I have seen her books on Bookstagram since I first started Bookstagram. She's a very raved about author. There's a lot of books of hers. I have got a few on my Kindle. This is actually the first book of hers that I own, and I'm not going to lie, I've gone blind into this book. I have read people's reviews. It sounds like maybe it's a toxic relationship one, and I'm not 100% sure, but the reviews on there are epic. Everyone says it's quite an emotional book and hard-hitting. I have gone blind in this. I put it on my wish list because everyone was raving about it, and I thought, well, I trust a lot of Bookstagrammers on there because a lot of them, if they've done good reviews, kind of feel like they're going to be good. So yeah, it's going to be my first Colleen Hoover that I would have read too. So I'm excited for it. I want to see what the fuss is about. I don't know. I don't really know the gist of what it's about, but I kind of got the gist that it might be a sort of, it says it ends with us, an unforgettable tale of love that comes at the ultimate price. So something happens, I don't know. I've gone into it blind, and I quite like some books that I do go into it blind for the simple fact that, you know, I don't judge it by the synopsis. I sometimes find if I read a book I have no clue what it's about, I can make judgment myself. The next that is a romance book is Heartstopper Volume 1 by Alice Osman. So this would be my first ever graphic novel, but it has been very hyped in 2020. Pretty much everyone has read this book and the rest of the volumes. I wasn't sure about it. I have never read a graphic novel. I've not been a fan of them. I just don't see them as books. Don't hate me, seriously. But everyone raved about it. I've obviously got Nick and Charlie. It's like a novella, which obviously is about these 2 characters. So I'm not 100% sure whether to read this so I understand who they are, or just go in blind and just read this. I don't particularly know yet, but everyone's raved about it, and I must admit, I was like, do you know what, why not? And I kind of felt like if I put it on my wish list, if someone gifted it to me, then I'd have to read it. And lo and behold, someone did gift it to me. It was a mixture of birthday and Christmas gift, and I'm actually really glad that I have got it now, because look, I had a look for it when I first got it. The pictures are amazing, and to me it's just quite nice to have, like I read a lot of picture books to my daughter, and I kind of feel like actually that's quite cool to read it and actually really have the images there instead of in my head. So I'm really excited for this. Actually, I'm surprised that I'm excited for this, but I am excited for this, and I know this will be read very quickly because it's very easy to read. So yeah, I'm glad I've got it, and I'm gonna finally read it and, you know, put a review about it, and hopefully it will be a glowing review like everyone else's. But I like to be different. Sometimes I'm not that kind of person, so we'll see. The next and the last 3 books are crime thrillers. I have sort of mentioned this one book in my Q&A actually, but the first one is Black Rock Bay by Brianna Labuscas. I've read a couple of her books already, and I've got some on my Kindle that I have yet to read. I love the way she writes. Every book I've read of hers so far, I never can work out who's done it. There's so many twists and turns, so many suspects, and when I think, oh, is this person? No, it really isn't. It's not this person. So I've got a really high prediction for this. I honestly think this is going to be 5 stars because my previous books of hers were 5 stars. I just love the way she writes, and I love that all of her books are, you can't obviously feel it, but they're very strong, but they're very floppy books, and it's like the paper in this is very thick. So I find some books, like if I'm reading it in daylight and I've got a page like sort of like this ready to be turned, some books I feel like it's a bit see-through and I can see through to the next page. These books aren't. They're very thick, and I just quite like them. But yeah, I have big hopes for this. I really see this being 5-star because every book I've read of hers, I have not been disappointed. She's very much up there with James Patterson. And then I am finally getting into Agatha Christie. So Hannah, my book bestie, loves Agatha Christie. A few people do, and they say she's a very good crime thriller. So I took the plunge in book 1 and book 2 of Poirot series. They're little short books. They're very easy to read. Hannah has said to me some books are better than others, so we'll see. Am I going to get the whole Poirot series? I don't know. It depends what I think. Hannah has wanted to read the whole series, so she's like going through the whole series, but there is a heck of a lot of books there, and a few books that she's read and already reviewed, they haven't been glowing reviews, so I'm a bit like, don't I? But I just thought it would be a good way to start, and I want to start them because I have heard amazing things. I know Agatha Christie's a lot on the TV as well, so I thought it would be quite nice to read the books and maybe watch some of the TV adaptations as well. So yeah, I thought I'd finally get to start those 2 and make my own decision. If I absolutely think, no, I really like this author, I might start reading some of her other books. But yeah, they are my 21 anticipated book reads for this year. Obviously, there are so many other books that I want to read, but these are the books that I have been wanting to read. Some of them are from last year that I bought, and I was like, oh, I'm going to read them, but I've forgotten about them. So for me, this is sort of a good way to start reading books that I know I really want to read, but also get through my many books that I own. So yeah, I'm excited for them. I'm hoping that they have very high ratings for them, but you never know. I am very honest in my reviews as it is, so you know, I don't give a glowing review just for the sake of it. I can happily give low reviews. I haven't really given very low reviews, only an odd couple, but not many. Like for me, a low review is a 3-star, but a lot of people say a 3-star is quite average, which in some sense, yeah, it probably is. But yeah, I'm excited for them. I'm specifically excited for my fantasy ones because at the moment they are my very loved genre at the minute. But yeah, obviously they're the 21 books that I'm hoping to definitely read for this year. I obviously have other books that I will involve in that because there's no way I'm just going to read 21 books for 2021. Like I put on my Goodreads 75, but I managed 103 last year. So if we're going to be in a pandemic still with more lockdowns, then I can imagine I'm probably going to read about 100 again as well, but we shall see. But yeah, they are my 21 anticipated reads. If you've read any of them, let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on any of these books that you may have read, whether they were good or not, I don't mind. If you have yet to subscribe to my channel, please do, it'd really be appreciated. And yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care everyone, and bye!